Hey, what's up y'all, it's Marcus. In today's video we're going behind the scenes on the old classic Mustang shoot that I did with my friend Hannah and my buddy Warren's old car. So we're going to go behind the scenes, check out files from the R5 and the GFX 50sii with a variety of lenses. We're going to compare the files in Lightroom, so stick around. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I have new videos coming every week with a bunch of different cameras. So see you after the intro. Please go to ProPhotoEdits.com where you can download my Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions. And I just want to remind you guys that my online creative lighting and editing course is up right now. I get asked about this every single day on Instagram. If you're not following me, the link will be down below. But how do you get these in-camera effects? I don't do any of this in Photoshop. This is all done in camera. So I've put 12 courses in here, 12 different photo shoots, and I explain what tools I use to get these looks in camera. And I usually just use one light. Sometimes I use one light and one LED, but I don't have a dynamic lighting setup. Everything you're looking at here right now is explained in the course. We're over, I think, 300 or 400 people in the course right now, so it's really growing and people are really happy with this. And we've just added some extra things that you're looking at right now with the light throwing technique. You're going to see that today in this video, that we're going to use this in an abandoned location. Nothing extra going on here. This is all done in camera, so you get the raw files, the Lightroom presets, the Photoshop actions, screen recording. I have me editing these looks that you're looking at now, and I've also included a new creative gelling course to get you these looks like this in camera, so consider that. Okay, so the first thing I do when I do these car shoots is I try to find an area, one, that matches the car. That's kind of hard because the car is blue. It's not my favorite color, but it's an awesome car. And so I try to find two locations, one where the sun's going to be lower a little bit later for the second look, backlight, and then one where you're going to start about an hour and a half before sunset for the first look. So this is our second location, and I tested on Warren before Hannah arrived, and then we hit our first location that was a little bit brighter right here. So this is just like right down the street in a parking lot where they house old dump trucks and stuff like that. So I don't want to take a bunch of environmental portraits. I'm trying to focus on the model and the car. And you can see on top of my camera, all I have is a LED light, a really bright LED light, because it's too much time to strobe these and I don't really like that look. So you just want to find a shot that's in the shade for your first location, and then you can use the second location for backlighting. So I just got this shot through the glass. And it's kind of cool to get shots through the glass because you get a different perspective. You get some of that glare and stuff. You just want to stay out of the shot. Okay, for this shot, what I'm doing here is I'm having Warren hold the LED, and it's probably not doing anything because it's, you know, it's daylight, but we're in the shade. And I wanted to try to get a cool angle here with the 35 versus the 45 on the GFX, and we'll look at that in Lightroom at the end of the video. But here's a shot on the 45 2.8 before and after the preset, and these files like really edit well, and I try to pull them all together into a neutral color space. So what I recommend is, I don't really like the off-camera flash look on stuff like this. You have too many things that can be reflecting off of. It takes time to set up. So using the LED of any kind just to give a little bit more of a pop to the light on the face, because inside a car, unless it's a convertible, there's going to be shaded area on the person's face anyway. So you just need a little bit of pop on the face. Okay, so one thing you always notice about me is I love angles. I think that shots like this can be boring if you don't have a proper angle, something that's really unique. So I try to use the door as like a framing device, get her in between the door and then find my correct angle. And I thought this image turned out really well with the 45. It's just enough so you can see into the car, and then edit it with the preset. It just brings everything to life, and you can actually see my jacket in the door, which when you're shooting with glass, there's no telling what's going to be in the glass. You just can't get around it. For all you hybrid shooters, I'm just shooting B-roll handheld on the R5, and this is with my LUT right now you're looking at. This is the PPE King's LUT, and it mimicked after my presets that I use a lot. And you can see before and after. I get asked this a lot all the time, what do you edit your video with? And I just use my LUTs. I made them after my presets, and they work really well together. So they're on my website if you need those. Okay, so this brings us into the second look of the day, my favorite look, the backlight look. You can see that the sun is directly behind her, and we had to position the car. This is your big assignment here, is like you want to position the car so where the sun is coming into the car, but still giving you some backlight onto the you know, the hair of the model. It's like you have limited amount of time to get this done, maybe 15-20 minutes at the most. So I'm gonna walk you through some of these R5 shots and the GFX shots I'm about to play. You want to focus on angles. Try to make things kind of consistent in the fact that like she has her hand stuck closer to the camera here above the mirror, so it's going out of focus with the 35. And by the way, it's going to be hard to top that 35 when they come out with the RF 1.2 version soon, but I'm excited about it. But just think about person in relation to the car. You don't want this big old car and an itty bitty person, so kind of frame your portraits in that orientation. So this right here is the 50 1.2 wide open, and I wanted to show you the focusing speed of the 80 1.7 because I've been kind of unfair to it. With good light, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can see that on my 50S2 with rapid AF on. It's not terrible, and those LEDs aren't doing anything at this point. But anyway, this is what the 81.7 file look like, and we're going to hop into Lightroom and look at these beside each other and kind of play favorite file here in a second. Alright guys, so quickly I want to look at some of these files compared to each other. I'm going to compare the ones that are like closest together. So the 35 1.4 on the R5 and the 45 2.8 on the GFX 50S2. So this is a Canon file R5, and I'm going to grab this, and as you can see, no preset applied. This is just straight out of camera. Okay, and I'm going to show you something here in a second that could be interesting. This is just with Adobe Color, same thing that Lightroom just uses automatically when it comes in auto-magically. And here we go. I'm going to grab this file from the GFX, and I'm going to hit compare. Now these are very, very similar shots. This is straight out of the camera, and if you follow over here, you can see exactly what the camera is doing, and which camera I'm using. 2.8 wide open on the 45, ISO is 200 over here, ISO 100, 7/50th of a second, 1.4. Now you can just tell that the file is chunkier from the GFX, and it's not really night and day difference. Honestly, the file was better from the GFX, and if I go back in here to the seat, you can just see the depth of field. It's shallower on the 1.4 lens on the R5 than the 2.8 wide open. The 2.8 is kind of like an f2. So if I were to stop this down to f2 on the R5, you would see it's pretty much the same, but I did a pretty good job here mimicking the shot. You get a wider field of view. You can see more of the door here, and with the 35 framing like the same type of thing, medium format is a wider sensor. So there's that. Now let's just look at the files and you'll see that it's a lot chunkier. It's a lot chunkier of a file. It's a beefier file. Look at the colors over here, straight out of camera. Nothing done, just straight up import. Okay, so if you're shooting an R5 or something else, what should you do? Well, there's different things. Of course, my presets are great for all this type of stuff, but just say that you don't need a preset. You don't want a preset. Let's go back into develop mode here, and then I'm gonna go back to. All right, I'm on the R5 file. So if I change this from Adobe Color to Adobe Vivid, and now let's go back in, and you don't have to do that. You can go into camera compare, or sorry, the camera profiles, but that's hit or miss. See, that's a little bit better. I mean, the colors is just the white balance issue, but the skin tones are better over here, and it's just a better file. It's not as easy of a camera to use, but let's go back out of that again, and then go back to this, and we can go to, instead of going to Adobe Vivid, you can go to Browse, and you can go to Faithful, Camera Standard. This should get us maybe closer, straight out of camera. So now that we've changed that, you're getting closer here. You're kind of splitting hairs at this point. If we zoom in here on both files, you can see there's a lot more detail on the GFX, but it's not night and day. It's not night and day. I enjoy using the R5 a little bit better. I just thought I'd give you a quick little example on how to fix some of the R5 files if you're not a big preset person. Alright, let's do one more here. But this is the 51.2 on the left hand side, and this is on the right hand side. This is the 81.7 on the GFX. So this is similar-ish, I would say. This 80 is more like a 65-ish on full frame, so it's not apples to apples, but you know, it's, you know, closest thing that I have in my bag. You can see bokeh. It's really not night and day here, guys. In this specific example, the GFX really shines when things are, I would say, overexposed or underexposed. If you're getting just like regular exposures, and these are just raw files straight out of camera, let's go and let this load, and I'll try to find, of course they're not going to match up. Alright, so there's a lot more detail over here, and this did hit the eye. I wasn't using eye autofocus because I hate eye autofocus on the GFX, but that eye is a lot crispier than over here on the 1.2, but not bad, you know. I mean, I love both of these lenses. I couldn't say enough about them. The colors are always real neutral and natural out of the GFX that I've found. There might be a little bit of a pinkish magenta shift. The R5 dynamic range wise is nowhere near there, but if you just go in here into the back and see if we can find things that are of similar, this car, the seat, the door frame over here on the other side, you can see the door frame has gone more over here, and that has to do a little bit more with compression. But the files, besides this just being a wider file because medium format, I'm not sure that you would be able to tell a great difference, you know. So it's just, I think, use the camera that's better for your workflow, which in this scenario was the R5. So until next week, please like and subscribe. Comment down below what your favorite camera is you're using, if there's a big difference between medium format to you if you use both. Do you have the medium format itch? There's a lot of new videos I have coming up soon that are going to be really cool, using a bunch of different stuff. So I will see you next week. I love